This is Wesley. He suffers from a severe case of autism. He's being raised by his grandmother and barely knows his mother and his father. The results of today's paternity test will help determine the course of his future. Mr. Marsh, you are listed on Wesley's birth certificate as his dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you claim his biological father is actually his mother's neighbor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you both have been tested, and we'll hear the results shortly. Now, Mrs. Maldonado, you are Wesley's grandmother and legal guardian.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you desperately need help caring for him, and Mr. Marsh has been nothing but a deadbeat dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, the court has made efforts to track down Wesley's mother, and we will hear from her shortly. Now, the defendant claims you're a deadbeat dad. Have you been helping with the care of Wesley?
I would help with my son if I was allowed in his life, or I wasn't told that I can come and see my son whenever I want to, and yet I have to see him outside. I'm not allowed inside the house. So I don't see a reason to put a one-year-old child outside in the cold just for me to be able to see him or for me to be able to help out with him. I pay my child support. I pay $269 plus money in my arrearments. I'm $13,000 in debt because of it, but I still, whenever I have a job, I pay the state for child support.
So, Jerome, can you please grab that evidence that Mr. Marsh held up? So, Mr. Marsh, you said a one-year-old, but Wesley's 6.
Yeah, I made the decision when he was a year old because I wasn't allowed in the house. I couldn't keep who I thought was my son out in the cold to see him. I made the decision when he was about 1 year old on his first birthday that I would not put him through that stress. I told him I loved him. I gave him his birthday present, and I told him to look me up when he turned 18. You don't know. You weren't outside. You were inside.
I was watching from the kitchen.
But that doesn't
and you
mean
haven't
you
seen
can
him
hear.
in 5 years.
So, wait a minute. When you went by and saw him when he was 1 year old, you said this wasn't right for him to have to come outside for you to see him.
Correct.
So you made the decision that I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm going to pay my child support, but I'm going to keep my distance, and when he's 18, he can find me.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't see a point of every time I went to go see my son to be threatened to be put in the ER if I walked through the threshold of the door.
That
so
is
now,
incorrect.
Ms. Maldonado, is he being threatened when he comes to try to see Wesley?
No, he is not. He's not allowed in my house anymore because when my grandson was 2.5 months old, he came over to the house and he disrespected me and my husband in my house. And at that point, I told him that he needs to leave. And if he wants to see his son, that we will meet somewhere or he can be outside in the times that it's cold outside.
That's not what was said.
That is exactly what's said.
So when you say if he wanted to see his son, you believed he is, in fact, Wesley's father?
That's what I have to believe, Your Honor, because his name is on my grandson's birth certificate. I did not give birth to him. I can only go by what's on the paperwork.
All right, so on the paperwork, he is listed as a father. In your mind, the way you operate, he's the father.
And that's
you
what my
said he
daughter
can see
told
him
me.
outside or we can meet somewhere.
Correct.
So did you ever try to meet somewhere?
We did at a restaurant in town, and he did not show up.
I was not aware that I had an appointment to go see my son.
So why would they go to a restaurant if they didn't think they were meeting you?
They may have thought that they were getting it set up somewhere along the lines, probably trying to go through Jolene, who never really told me anything. She's a habitual liar, so usually what she said I took with a grain of salt.
So, Mr. Marsh, you signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why is it you have doubts?
He just does not look like me. I'm all white. There's no any other kind of descent in my family. Jolene's half Puerto Rican. Jeremy's father's is full-blood Puerto Rican. So, I mean, there is Hispanic descent in the family.
So when his mother was pregnant, were you ever told it could be anyone else?
I had Jeremy who cracked jokes about, you might want to get a paternity test because it was a big joke around that Jolene cheated.
Your Honor, I went to his mother's house with my son that is here and asked him, how do you know that that baby is yours? I know that that's my grandchild, but how do you know that that baby's yours? I told him twice before my grandchild was born, and then in the hospital, when he was questioning because my grandson was dark, because my family is Puerto Rican, I said, don't sign his birth certificate. And he signed it anyway.
I didn't have doubt at that point in time.
At that time, you didn't, so you signed it.
Yeah, I was 17. I was young and dumb and in love. I thought the woman I fell in love with, the first woman I fell in love with, couldn't possibly do that to me.
And then you're saying as Wesley grew up, got older.
As
Okay,
he
Your
got-
Honor, but
felt
he
like-
knows that my daughter's a liar. It's not a secret.
It's not a
That's
secret.
why I went to his house before my grandson was born and told him, how do you know that that baby is yours?
I
And then
Wow.
after
I
that
gave her
baby
the
was born,
benefit
I
of a
told
doubt.
him.
Wait a minute. You went to his house before
Yes,
the
ma'am.
baby was born
Yes, ma'am.
and straight up told him.
His mother was there when I said it with my son and said, how do you
Do
know
you
that that
remember
baby
this
is yours?
conversation,
I
Mr.
do.
Marsh?
And I still to this day gave Jolene the benefit of a doubt.
So you had doubt,
not believe
Ms. Maldonado. You had doubt
I
from
did.
the get-go.
I did.
And you've also brought your son as a witness. I'd like to hear from you, sir. Please stand. Mr. Neely,
Yes, Your Honor.
thank you for coming today. What do you have to add? You were there for this conversation?
Yes, I was.
What do you know about this?
Well, I know that my sister cannot tell the truth to save her soul. So, okay, there is no doubt in my mind. If she told me the sky was blue, I would actually look before believing that the sky was actually blue.
So, do you believe that Mr. Marsh is Wesley's father?
Honestly, I do not believe he is.
Really?
Dead serious.
Why is that?
Well, because my sister has had multiple friends, boyfriends. There you go.
Okay.
So,
So you are aware that your sister was with multiple men probably during the time Wesley was conceived.
yes. And I forewarned Eddie that if you do not know it's yours, do not sign the paperwork.
So you even warned Mr.
Went
Marsh.
to his house.
So this is
with
your
my
sister
mom.
and this is your
Yes.
daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
She's pregnant and you all
Told
take a
him
trip over to the
because
would-be
I
father's house
knew
and
where he
tell him
lived.
you shouldn't sign that birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You went to his house
I did.
before the baby was born, and
Yes,
on two
ma'am.
occasions you said to him, this might not be your baby, you might want to check.
Yes,
And he
ma'am.
signs the birth certificate anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
Once he signs the birth certificate, there becomes an issue with you all trying to figure out how he can see the child. You feel like he wasn't respectful in your home, and then he's not allowed to come in anyway. But ultimately, you criticize him for not being that involved. Do you understand that you and your son placed the doubt in his mind that he might not be the child's father?
Yes, ma'am.
And then ultimately, that same doubt is what brings him here today and probably has affected the way he has interacted over the years, always in the back of your mind, not knowing, is this or is this not my child?
Yeah, he looks like one of the neighbor kids that we went to high school with that she spent an awful lot of time with, other than who lived a mile down the road from where I was living at. Spent an awful lot of time over at his house versus at my house.
And you believe that this neighbor could be Wesley's biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this neighbor was not able to appear in court today, but he did, in fact, submit a statement, which I have here. It says, I was friends with both Jolene Neely and Edward Marsh in high school. After Ms. Neely got pregnant, we had a falling out. I don't remember what caused the argument, and I haven't spoken to either of them since then. Edward Marsh is accusing me of being the father to Wesley, and I know it's not true. I did not get Jolene Neely pregnant, and I can't wait for the DNA results to prove it. And he has been tested, and we will hear those results shortly. Mr. Marsh, you've also brought a witness.
Yes, ma'am.
Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court,
Adelina Marsh,
and you are Mr. Marsh's
mother.
mother. What do you have to add, ma'am?
I've never thought this baby was his.
Really? Never.
Never.
And you are Mr. Marsh's
Mother.
mother. What do you have to add, ma'am?
When I saw that baby in the hospital, the first time I looked at it, I went, that's not ours.
Wow.
We are Anglo-Saxon and Scandinavian, and I've got the darkest hair in our family, and the rest of my kids are white and blonde. My grandchildren are all white and blonde.
Wait a minute, though, because he just already said that the mother's family has Puerto Rican descent there. So why is it such a question if you know on their side of the family there are other nationalities
My stepson, who is 31, who has 2 children by a Hispanic woman who is full-blooded Hispanic, produced 2 of the prettiest blonde, blue-eyed, white
It doesn't
kids
matter.
you have
You know, my
ever
daughter
seen.
has a blonde-haired,
Hold
blue-eyed
on
baby
now.
also.
Hold on now. I know all grandmothers think their children are beautiful,
And
but I
I
hope
thought
that
he
it's
was
not just
gorgeous.
based on the fact that they were blonde hair and blue eyes.
No, I thought he was a gorgeous baby.
I hope what you're saying is your side of the family had very strong genes and it had resonated in even another situation where your son's wife was Hispanic. They still had genes that you felt like represented your family. And when you saw this baby, you just didn't see the same characteristics and it made you doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, my daughter has 2 other children. My younger granddaughter looks just like my grandson Wesley, and my youngest granddaughter is blonde-haired, blue eyes by my daughter. So it doesn't matter. It's just the way that it
about
works
DNA
out.
is DNA does its own thing. However, I will give you this, ma'am. When the mother's mother and the mother's brother comes over to the would-be father's house and says, you need to have a DNA test, now that is something you can base a doubt on.
I doubted it from the beginning.
Ms. Maldonado, please explain to the court, how did you end up with custody?
Your Honor, my daughter was living with me when she gave birth to my grandson. She was home for about 2.5 months with me and my husband and had told us she was going for a pack of cigarettes and never came back.
What?
After 3 months, I finally got a hold of her. She came back and I said, that's it. You take this baby or you sign him over to me because I can't do this by myself. I need help from the state. At that point, in April of 2008, she signed a power of attorney that we took and went and had taken care of so that I had legal custody of Wesley to take care of him. Now, I did get a hold of my daughter before we came here, and she did give me a video statement that she wanted you to hear because she
Yes.
couldn't be here.
I do want to hear from her. Let's take a look at that statement.
Hi, I'm Jolene. I'm Wesley's mother. Edward Marsh is Wesley's father. He has been denying my son. Last time he saw him was the fall of 2008. He never bought him any diapers except for 1 pack. He bought him 1 pack of wipes. That is unacceptable and uncalled for. So, quit denying your son, and when the paternity test comes back positive, I hope and pray you get what you deserve.
This has been all on you.
Yes.
Even though she condemns Mr. Marsh's behavior and says it's unacceptable.
She's also unacceptable.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you said it. You have been raising this child on your own pretty much since he was born.
With the help of both of my sons and my husband, yes, ma'am.
I was told in order to see him, I had to buy diapers and diaper wipes. You know,
Oh,
it was
that
true.
is definitely
unless
not true.
somebody
All
took
you've
them
ever
off
done
your-
for this baby is
unless you-
pay for the circumcision and buy a box of wipes. That is all you have ever done. Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Unless
Had to
took
hear
somebody-
it.
him every
unless
week to
somebody-
buy diapers.
My
Hold
mother
on now.
brought me every week and took me to Walmart every single
Well, then you know
week
what? The
to buy-
diapers and the wipes weren't
Then
getting to me.
They were placed
No.
on your front step when nobody answered the door.
I always answered the door.
No, not always.
You know, you have
I
no
was-
clue what it costs to raise a child.
No, I do
An
know what it
autistic
takes
child.
to.
You
In
have a
fact, I know what it
Hold
takes
on,
to raise
Ms.
2 children.
Maldonado, you have prepared some evidence for the court
Yes, ma'am.
as it relates to the expenses.
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
step forward.
His doctor and his therapy visits alone are $25,000 a year. The devices that I need, the toys and things that I need to teach him, because you can't teach him as you would a normal child, $3,000, give or take. Food, housing, that's normal. My grandson's 6 years old and he's still in pull-ups because he doesn't know how to go potty yet. You think that's free? That costs money. And school now. He started school this year.
And you are contending that you've had to do all of this, provide for Wesley and make sure he is taken care of and have the things he needs, and you're not receiving the support you feel like Mr. Marsh should be giving him.
No, ma'am.
If I
It
was
comes
allowed in his life, I
sporadically.
would have.
I purposely had it go through the state so that I can prove what he was and wasn't paying me.
So, Ms. Maldonado, what are you hoping for today? Are you hoping that he is?
I'm
Wesley's
hoping he's
father?
not, so that we can move forward from this and let everything go. If he is not my grandson's father, I want his name off my grandson's birth certificate, and once his name is removed, I will absolve him of the back child support, because if he's not his father, he doesn't need to pay.
If the neighbor is Wesley's father, will you let him in the child's life?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All
All right, it's time for results. Jerome? Thank you.
You're welcome.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Marsh versus Maldonado, when it comes to the paternity of Wesley, Maldonado, Neely, and whether Mr. Marsh or Wesley's mother's neighbor is his father, Mr. Marsh, you are his father.
Does that mean I get my rights to him? And I can go without the threats and actually be
Nobody
able to
threatened
get
you.
I've sat on the fence for 5 years about getting the paternity test done because I wanted to believe that he was mine. Maybe I can have my rights to him.
That is all the past. I'm not sure what happened in the altercation. I don't know what's going on, but you all going forward have to think about Wesley, not about yourselves. You all are adults. If you've had an argument or an issue, sit down, discuss it, and move forward, for goodness sake.
We can try.
You have to try, because if you have his best interest at heart, that's what it requires you to do. Mr. Ball, you say that you were told by the defendant, Ms. Cox, that she could not get pregnant, and now she's claiming you fathered her daughter.
True, Your Honor.
You argue she was sleeping with multiple men at the time she conceived and say her best friend confirmed it.
Yes.
All right, now, Ms. Cox, you claim that your other sexual relationships ended prior to sleeping with Mr. Ball.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you believe he is your daughter's father and plan to prove it today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Additionally, you are countersuing the plaintiff for $460 for an unpaid loan.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, now, Mr. Ball,
Yes.
how did you first hear that Miss Cox was sleeping with multiple men?
Well, during the time of my incarceration, Your Honor, we were talking every day, morning, noon, night, we would talk every day. And maybe within the last 90 days of me, serving my time, I was getting letters from her best friend stating to me that she was sleeping with other men, going out with other men, and that everything wasn't, what I was being told. It wasn't what it seemed. So when I asked her about it, she told me there's nothing to worry about. Whatever, whatever was going on, it's done with. Don't worry about it. Well, when I got home, I asked her, is everything, done? Is it over with or whatever? She told me yes. I actually bumped into this guy at the grocery store.
Okay.
Now, I bump
What
into him,
happens?
as I bump into him outside, I'm asking him, hey, what's going on, man? I'm hearing things. I'm hearing that, you've been talking to my girl or
That's
whatever.
not true.
And she's sitting in the car, the same car that we were together in. Now, I'm sitting there talking to this gentleman. I'm asking him, what's going on? He's telling me, well, did you know that
That's not true.
we were
He
hanging,
didn't even
we were
know
talking?
who it was that I had relations with until after the grocery
I did know
store.
who it was.
And
So hold on, Miss Cox, I need to clarify. While he was away, were you in a relationship with another man?
we was in a physical relationship. It wasn't like we weren't together,
Well, I'm
nothing
So
like
it was
that.
a sexual relationship.
And he knew about this.
Did you tell Mr. Ball?
No.
Yes, I did. I wrote
No.
him a letter and I told him everything that was
No.
going on, and he wrote back and still agreed to come home to me after
No.
hearing everything, as long as everything was put to a stop.
So why did he have to hear from your best friend?
She beat me to the punch because
Beat you to the
my
punch?
best friend at the time is his other child's mother,
Oh. That's
who also still has feelings for him and wanted him to come home to her.
But that has nothing to do with it. She was basically telling me, I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm just letting you know before you come home and look like a fool to yourself and all your friends. So I told her, this is what I'm hearing. Now, what she says about it being just a physical thing, what I'm hearing is this guy was living there. He was staying there. He had keys to the place. She put him out the day before I came home.
No, I did not.
Now,
Mr. Ball, when you got home, did you have any other indication that she was cheating?
Yes, I did.
How was that when
yes,
I
I
was
did.
with you every second
well,
of the day?
You were every second?
I was
so
with you every second
forgot
of the
about the
day.
time
You
where I
were
dropped you off
using
at your
my car,
mom's? You forgot about the time I dropped you off at your mom's house and we got into that big incident where I dropped you off at your mom's house, went and got my hair cut. Within a time of me going to get my hair cut, coming back and picking her
That's
up.
when the text messages
when I got her, when I
with the
picked
other
her
guy.
up, she was already acting, shady, or may you have, and we came home, everything was fine. She said, I'm tired, I want to lay down. Well, when she laid down, her phone went off. I said, well, if she's sleeping, I'll answer, no problem, whatever. We don't have an issue with that. So I picked up the phone. It was over 100-something messages in that phone, and that's not just over a time period. This is over one day. So I'm looking at the messages. Come to find out, it's the same guy that's been going on from day one.
Because he contacted me.
Now, but did you respond?
Yes, I responded.
Did you tell that man that you loved that man?
Yeah, but who are you talking to?
Did you tell that man that you
Who
loved?
are you
Did you
writing
tell
on the
that man that
internet?
you
Who
loved
are
that
you
man? So I
talking
asked
to?
What
I
did
couldn't
you
even touch
see
your phone.
So I
in
asked
the
her.
text messages?
So I seen that she was, telling him that she missed him. They wished that they were still talking. They wished that they were back together. Whoop-de-whoop.
And I told him I loved
love
him.
you. And I asked her. So I asked her.
She's admitting to that.
Right, but it's easy now.
Surely did.
But when I asked her, it was easy to deny. It was easy to deny.
So did you have any other proof that she was still cheating?
Okay. One day I was at home on the internet, grabbing pictures off of our computer, and I pull up a picture, not one picture, but multiple pictures.
Hanging out with the guy. He knew about the guy.
Of her, and not only just that guy, another guy.
No,
and
all the
another
same
guy. And I
It was all
asked
the
her
same
about
guy.
it.
So let me ask you this. What was in the pictures?
Her arms around guys, kissing around guys.
No, it
and
wasn't
I'm
no
asking
pictures
her.
like that. And the pictures were deleted. They were in the recycling
No,
bin.
I
He was
deleted them.
looking for a reason to
deleted them.
argue.
So
And the
you're
pictures
saying that
weren't
was
even
your
uploaded.
past?
The pictures were not even uploaded to the computer by me. They were uploaded by his child, the mother of his other child.
Your best friend.
Right. That you slept with behind my back.
Not at all.
Yes, you did.
Not at all.
Yes, you did.
Not at all.
My supposed to be best friend at the time
Supposed to
was
be.
living with us, and she was sleeping with him and his cousin at the same time. And she got pregnant
And how
and
many
lied to me
times?
the whole time she was pregnant that the baby was not his, it was his cousin's. When the baby finally did come back to be his, when the baby was like 6 or 7 months old, that's when she finally broke down and told me. And you know what? I was still her friend, and I was still there for his child, taking care of his child, stepping
was
up,
there,
doing what
whatever.
you weren't.
How was that?
How wasn't it?
How was that?
How wasn't it?
How wasn't it?
How wasn't it? She lived
All right.
with me.
Because she
I
lived
took
with
care
you?
of her because he was too lazy to get off of his butt to go and get a job.
So when I
because
first came home, I wasn't looking for a job. When I was with her, when we were looking for a job, she was sitting right outside the place texting a dude.
One place.
Sitting
one
down there
time he
texting
filled
him.
out an application.
And
And
with
because I
you,
was
just
texting
with
another
you,
guy,
with
because
you,
I was texting another
with you,
guy
the
while he
same
was in the
guy.
place filling out a
The
job
same
application,
guy.
that was
But I
his
thought I
excuse to
wasn't
stop
looking
looking
for
for a
no
job.
job. I thought I wasn't
Wait
looking
a
for a
minute.
job.
Wait
for a
a
job.
minute.
Looking
Let's
for a
get
job.
some order. Now, you all going off and just talking about a whole bunch of nothing now. This is just ridiculous. Ridiculous. But we do know you were intimate after he got home. That's why we're here today, because at some point you find out you're pregnant.
Right.
Yeah, he slept with me unprotected the day that he came home, and during intercourse told me he wanted me to get pregnant.
Okay, well, she also made sure that she didn't tell me anything about her being pregnant until after the fact of me dropping
No,
her
I
off
didn't
at
know
work.
I was pregnant.
She told me that
No.
before I dropped her off,
He
when I
stopped
dropped
at the-
her
he
off, I
stopped at the
turned the corner.
pharmacy.
Before I even turned the corner from getting gas, my phone's ringing and it's her.
'Cause I was nervous.
I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. We were at
Okay,
home.
but Mr. Ball, what is the big deal that she didn't tell you while she was riding with you until
Because
after
with-
she got to work?
From what I heard from her still best friend, at the
Oh,
time,
goodness,
that
yes.
she was, running around, oh, I'm pregnant. He gonna do
No, I
this for
didn't.
mine. He gonna do that
No,
for
I
mine.
didn't.
Also hearing, why would you wait until
I
I
didn't
drop
even
you
work
off
that
at
night.
work?
You came
Why would
back
I-
across the
Why
street.
would I
So
drop you
hold
off at
on.
work and you not tell me
Are
if
you
felt?
suggesting to the court that she was pregnant even before you came home?
No, because he's the one that wanted
a
me to take the
possibility.
pregnancy test, but I
It's
wasn't
a
late on my
possibility.
period yet.
It's
So
a
I told
possibility.
him, I said, I don't feel that I'm
I
pregnant.
feel like-
I don't feel different. He's the one that
But I
kept
feel
telling me, yeah,
like,
I think you're
if all
pregnant. I
this
think you're
going on, with
pregnant.
all the evidence piling up on top of everything, why would you not want to be upfront with me about you think that you could even be pregnant?
So, Miss Cox, when your daughter, Gabby, was born, was Mr. Ball there?
Yes,
Did
ma'am,
he
he was.
participate?
Yes, ma'am, he did. My water broke February 10, 2010 during intercourse with Mr. Ball. And he drove me to the hospital. He was there the whole 3 days I was in the hospital. He drove me home from the hospital, and we stayed with him. He never expressed to me in the hospital that he had doubt or anything. These are pictures of him and me and my daughter, Gabby, at the hospital after she was born.
Jerome, can you grab this evidence for me, please?
He never expressed to me that he had any doubt at all whatsoever. And when it came down to signing the birth certificate, he wouldn't. And he would not sign the birth certificate because he said he wanted to make it hard for me with child support.
Why would I tell you I wanted to make it hard for you?
And I
when
offered
I'm there,
I'm there, but
I want to make it hard for you, but yet I'm there.
I offered him a DNA test in the hospital. He didn't want it. He didn't want it. I offered him DNA. I made appointments for DNA tests and have been on my way to pick this man up.
But yet I'm there.
On my way to pick Mr. Ball up for the DNA test. He wants to give me stories. Oh, we don't need the DNA test. Why did you stay in the hospital for 3 days? Why did you, if you felt you had doubt, why didn't we take care of this 3 years ago?
You never told me that that's not my daughter.
No, I have not. Oh, yeah,
Mr.
in anger.
Ball,
Yes, I have. In anger.
These photos she presented, you look like a proud daddy. You look very happy. What in the world changed all this?
It's just with the fact of everything that has added up over the years. Her herself telling me, I don't think that, this is not your child. When we get into arguments, it's not my child. When we're fine and we're dandy and everything's okay, that's my baby.
I have not said that to him in years.
But you have said it to him before?
Yes, I have said it to him. Yes, I have.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you something. Once you tell a man that a child is not his, it's going to always be a source of doubt. Mr. Ball, you've brought 2 witnesses. I'd like to hear from your first witness. Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court.
Brittany McDonald. I'm his fiance.
All right. What do you know about this situation?
I know that from when me and him got together, it was right away an issue. The first day he came down my house, she showed up at my house. She was outside honking her horn, screaming, crying. He had to actually leave.
Ms. McDonald.
She's the reason why
Why do you think Ms. Cox is claiming that Mr. Ball is her child's father?
I feel like the child is just a pawn to get him back. Everything is about him and her. It's not about the baby.
Never.
It's always about Jesse and Brittany.
No, it's not. Your Honor, I have text messages from this
there.
woman where she is telling me she made him open his eyes and realize that Gabby is not his child. I have the text messages right here, Your Honor. And I have the messages.
Will you hand me that?
I have the messages from her where she's telling me he only wants something to do with me and Gabby when they're broken up. So, anyways.
Right, let me read these from Brittany. And that would be Ms. McDonald. You talk so much, shut up. He don't want nothing to do with you or Gabby till me and him break up. He don't want nothing to do with Gabby because I finally made him open his eyes and see through your lies. He don't even care about Gabby because everyone knows she ain't his.
And that was while they were broken up.
I did write.
That was while they were broken up. Because I was with Mr. Ball, and she couldn't bear the fact that we were together. So instead of texting Mr. Ball's phone, she started texting my phone.
Okay, Ms. McDonald. Thank you so much. You may be seated. Mr. Ball, you have another witness.
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery, please stand and step up to the podium. All right, so you are Mr. Ball's mother.
Yes.
Please, mother, enlighten the court. What do you know about this situation?
It's been going on for years. They were teenagers when they met. It was innocent, cute, fun. There was no babies, but, it's just a lot of anger. I don't like the fact that, my granddaughter, that's what I call, she calls me G-May, that's short for Grandma Erica.
Your Honor, I don't even know why she's going to stand up here and act emotional. She didn't even meet my daughter.
What is your emotion about?
I wasn't there because it was about her attitude toward me, and it involved my son, and it made things bitter with us. And I chose not to be there. The aggression has always been toward her and me. So I tried to work it out, be a grandmother, and not be so hostile. But,
She's never been a grandmother to my child, Your Honor.
Okay.
Do you believe your son is Gabriella's father?
I don't know, because when I did come into the picture, I accepted it.
It is your belief that this is your grandchild, and your hopes for today is that the DNA testing proves that.
I want closure, yes, ma'am. Yes, I do.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. All right, so Ms. Cox, you've also brought your mother. Ma'am, please stand and step up to the podium. Now, Ms. Cox, I know you struggle a bit with your voice.
Yes.
And so,
prepared a statement.
Wonderful. I will read that for you. Thank you, ma'am. This is a statement that you've prepared. Dear Judge Lake, what I especially don't like is how he, and that would be Mr. Ball, has treated my daughter and family after all we've done for him. When he got out of prison, he stayed with me for 3 months rent-free, and he didn't lift a finger. I really saw his true colors in December of 2011 when he kicked my daughter and grandbaby out in the snow with all their gifts. I'm not being racist, but he knows he can get away with this because these girls are white and more submissive.
No.
He would never try this with a black girl.
No.
He wouldn't.
Respectfully, Linda Cox.
Where was the respect there?
Wow.
Your Honor, as she just stated that I couldn't get away with it with a black girl, I've had plenty of black girls.
No, he has not.
Plenty.
No, he
and
has not.
I have had a black woman who thought that she was pregnant by me. She had twins. Come
Because
to
he
find
had
out
doubt.
they weren't mine.
So
because I had doubts.
If
because
he
she
has
got
doubt
into
about
it
my
she got
child,
in
why did he
trouble.
wait 3 years?
But
She got
I
in
want to bring
trouble.
this back to Gabrielle. You still wanted to step up to the plate just in case this child was yours. Is
Right.
that your contention?
Yes. Yes.
It's never about my child. It's always about me because we were just sleeping together a week ago.
A week ago?
What?
Yeah, a week ago. We were
week
just
ago?
at your mother's house sleeping together a week ago.
week ago?
Wait a minute.
Were we not, Miss
At
Montgomery?
her mother's house.
At his mother's house,
week
yes.
ago? A week
A
ago?
week ago, yes.
You were at his mother's
A
house?
week ago. No.
Yes,
No.
we were. Yes,
No.
we were.
A week ago?
A week ago.
No.
Might have been like 9 days ago,
No.
a week and a half ago.
No. During that
Mr.
time, Your Honor,
Ball.
it was not 9 days ago, Your Honor. But
Yes, it
yes,
was,
we
Your
were
Honor.
intimate. We were intimate. But
Within
it
the
was,
last 2
we
weeks.
were.
We
It
were
was within
intimate
the
over
last 2
5
weeks, Your Honor.
times.
That is true. But we were not.
9 days, 2
2
weeks.
weeks.
The bottom line.
Right.
Because
Yes.
we were
You
together
were
for 2
intimate
weeks.
with her
Yes, Your Honor.
recently.
Yes, Your Honor.
And just a few weeks ago, about a month and a half ago, I helped him with money for child support for his other daughter so that he wouldn't go to jail, so he wouldn't be incarcerated. And these are the text messages from him asking me for the money and telling me that he would pay me back.
Jerome, please hand me that. And this is the basis of your countersuit.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way you could help me out with a little money so I don't go to jail when I go to court? If you could help, I'd be grateful and appreciated, but you know I'd pay it all back when I get this money.
He's referring
Make
to...
sure you put it all in writing and I will sign it so you know I am for real. I'll pay it back. Thanks again for your help.
So.
How much money did he ask for?
$460.
Mr. Ball, did she give you $460?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay her back?
No, Your Honor. No.
He still to this day doesn't work. I've even tried helping him get a job. I was working at a fast food
Hold
restaurant
on,
and tried
before
getting him a
you
job. He
get
won't
off
work.
onto one of your tangents, I would like to rule on your countersuit.
Okay.
You have stated that he asked you for a loan. You agreed to it. You stated that he promised to pay you back. You agreed to it, and there is evidence here in writing that you agreed to pay her back.
Yes.
So it is the
But-
judgment of
Over
this
$35,000
court
in
that
arrears.
you do owe her $460.
Okay.
And it needs to be paid within 60 days. Are we clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
This judgment is for the defendant.
Okay.
Now, let's move on to the paternity results. Jerome, the envelope, please.
Here you go, Your Honor.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Ball versus Cox, when it comes to 3-year-old Gabrielle, it has been determined that Mr. Ball, you are her father. Is that the news you wanted?
Yes.
So understand this. Whatever the doubt has stopped you, blocked you from doing, from fully committing, from fully taking responsibility, that excuse is gone now.
Right.
And you're her daddy, her father, and she's counting on you.
Your Honor, can I
Have you
say
found a
something?
job yet?
No. No.
You need to find one. Are we clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Cox, you have worn me out this afternoon. Woo! You just gunning and running your mouth and talking so much. Nobody want to be around you.
It's because it's been going on for too long.
This is my point. But now we have the results. The excuses are no more. Take a breath. Breathe in the new truth that we have realized today and accept that as the seed for a fresh start. Okay? Court is adjourned.